Just for the record, that is William Mitchell.
Are you pro-life or are you pro-choice?
I am pro-choice.
What is your main reason for wanting abortion to be legalized?
My reasons are the health of the mother, incest, rape.
Did you know that a lot of abortions end in harming the mother?
Well, I do know that, and that's part of the, the thing that you have to weigh on to get to that area.
When is the longest amount of time you think a mother should wait to have an abortion, and why?
Well, I agree with Texas law. I think it should be, maybe we do it, up to vital time of when the fetus is alive or not alive, whatever you want to call it. I come from a political family, and my family has always rode the fence on abortion. The deal is if a young lady's raped by her father or her brother or something, I wouldn't want her to have to carry that baby to term to live with same way with somebody raping somebody on the street. And that's my version of pro-choice. So,
when do you believe life begins?
I believe it begins in conception.
How would you define life?
I would define life as feeling.
Science defines life with having a heartbeat or brain activity. A fetus heartbeat can be heard 18 days after conception, and brain activity can be heard after 40 days after conception. Does this not meet the definition of life?
Well, that's an opinion that, people have the right to decide on where life begins. You take Darwin, evolution, we've taught creation and evolution, but it's the person's opinion of where it starts.
A 19-week-old premature baby in Florida survived an abortion. Would it have been okay to break the baby's neck, pull its limbs off, and kill it when it was born, since a mother 19 weeks old into her pregnancy would still be able to abort her child?
I don't believe that should have happened. No.
What is your main reason for wanting abortion to be legalized?
Gives more rights to the individual.
Did you know that a lot of abortions end up harming the mother?
I'm sure it does.
When is the longest amount of time you think about a mother should wait to have an abortion and why?
It needs to be before a certain cycle or bimester, and from what I understand. And I think it should be early enough that it's not going to deter, not going to harm the young lady, but you never really know. A good example is the one that's in JPS right now, because of Texas law, and we'll turn the machine off. So I guess would be the point where it's not going to harm her, because it will do major damage. I'm sure it can.
Well, what about harming the baby? Is that a problem?
Yeah, that's it's one of those subjects that's real touchy, because you can see both sides of it. You never really, either if you pro-choice or pro-life, there's not really a win situation.
Well, again, we need to decide which one is. When do you think life begins? It's a good question to have to answer.
Life begins with a wish. I want to have a baby, or wish to have a baby, because they tell us that whether someone's here or not, they can still hear you. So that's my opinion. Because you've got to have love, and then once you have love, you can have a child. It starts in the planning stages, I would think. But I'm still pro-choice.
Scientifically, do you think we know when life begins?
I'm sure that scientifically they can to a certain extent, yes.
Well, did you know 18 days after conception, brain activity can be heard, and the heartbeat can be heard after 40 days.
I didn't know that. I didn't know
That's
that.
definitely signs of life in there if they're 18 days after conception.
True.
So that's something to think about. Do you know what percentage of abortions are for rape and what are for the mother's health?
No.
1%, less than 1% is for rape purposes.
What about all the rape cases that are never reported? What about the child abuse that's never reported? What about the molestation within the families that's never reported?
So it's better to take away their life than to give them their life and they can, it's on the...
And once again, that's why it's pro-choice, because it needs to be the individual person.
Well, how can we allow someone to, decide when they want that child to live or not?
It still depends on, every young lady is different, and it still needs to be their choice. I think.
Okay, are you pro-life or pro-choice?
I'm pro-life.
Okay. When does life begin if half of all unconceived eggs never become pregnant? Should we be trying to save them?
Well, that's more difficult. I believe that life begins at the moment of conception. That's when it starts to develop in the womb, and studies have shown that even an early fetus can determine pain or it has feelings. So that's my personal belief.
Okay. There are many orphans or unwanted children in the world. Why don't you believe abortion would lower the adoption rate?
Oh, well, why wouldn't abortion lower the adoption rate? I don't believe that abortion is right on any cost or at any level because it is the taking of a life. But as far as abortion lowering the population rate, to me, that would be a whole completely separate issue. There are many children who are born, yes, who are unwanted and they need love, but they have the opportunities of life and of living. And any negative situation can be turned around to become something that is positive. It does not mean that your life is over because maybe your birth parents chose to give you up for adoption.
Do you believe children with disabilities should suffer since there will be no way of stopping it if abortions were legal?
I don't think anyone should suffer, but I know in my own personal case, my children are 30 and 28 years old, and I remember my 5th month, they wanted me to abort my son because of his health, or what they determined that was going to be issues that we would have, and plus I was very sick at that time. But my son was born perfectly healthy. There was nothing wrong with him. So if I had went against my beliefs and had aborted that child, my conscience, would still be eating me alive. I just could not do that.
A lot of pro-choice people, their standpoint for their reason is because of rape. And what would you say to someone who believes?
Well, even in that type of a situation, and I can speak on that as well, because in the past when I was in college, was raped. I didn't have a pregnancy result from it, but I was faced with that at that moment. And for me, I don't believe anyone should do what I do, but that child is still a part of me as well. So that still, in my opinion, would be killing off a part of myself. And that child didn't have anything to do with the choice of who their parents was. So I believe that child would have the...
Please state your name.
Barbara Price.
Barbara Price. What is your are you pro-choice or pro-life?
I'm pro-choice.
Pro-choice. What is your main reason for wanting abortion to be legalized?
Because I firmly believe that it's a woman's right to choose what to do with her body.
Did you know that a lot of abortions ends up harming the mother?
Yes, I do. But I still think women have a right to choose what they want to do medically.
When is the longest amount of time you think a mother should wait to have an abortion, and why?
Probably no more than 20 weeks, because a fetus is pretty viable at 26, 28 weeks. My son was born premature, and he was born at 28 weeks, so, and he made it, so he was born at 2 pounds 3 ounces, so it needs to be 20 weeks or earlier.
Well, when do you think life begins?
That's a tough question, but life may begin, I think life begins when the child is born.
Okay. Science defines life with having a heartbeat or brain activity. A fetus heartbeat can be heard at 18 days after conception, and a brain activity can be heard after 40 days after conception. Does this not mean the definition of life?
It could be, and we're getting, I mean, this is a very personal kind of a decision.